to this month's episode of The Breeze, the first one of 2021. And I'm here again in the Sun City TV studios, all alone with a camera and a mic. And we've got another Zoom meeting with our co-panelists, Tina and Margie. How you guys doing?
Wonderful. Good, Doug.
Survived the new year.
Yeah, you had a good holiday, I hope, safe and joyful.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely.
Grateful.
Looking forward
Excellent.
to 2021.
Well, good, because, everybody is happy that in some respect that 2020 is over, and we're looking forward to 2021. And we get the old saying, with each ending comes a new beginning. And what will we make of it? What are we going to do for a fresh start this year? And I'll ask you guys whether you had thought about that. And Margie or Tina, go ahead and tell us, what are you going to do to make this a fresh start, make this a better year?
Well, what I'm going to do is make some travel plans. Southwest Airlines should be announcing their routes pretty soon. And March sounds like a good time to go and see my mom in LA or meet her up in Houston, where I might meet my rancher.
You might. How about what you got in mind?
I think I will go and see some friends that I haven't seen for a long time that I've been putting off. And it's, I have had a good excuse this past year, but I think the fact that I couldn't made me want to do it more.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And now I have to be honest with myself and say, this is the test now. Am I going to do all those things that I thought, nah, or not? And if not, I just need to accept that. But I'm hoping to be more interactive, to go places, to see longtime friends, particularly.
And when, you've mentioned something a little earlier when you were talking about how it made you realize more what those friendships and seeing them do for you. And talk a little bit more about that.
Well, I realized that there are some people during this time that I haven't kept in touch with much, and nor they me. And I wondered if some of my friendships were for a season. They say we have friends of the road and friends of the heart. And the friends of the road are those that you meet up with for a time. You serve a purpose in each other's lives, and then you move on. But if it's a friend of the heart, you can go back 30, 40 years and they're still your friend. I made a 3-hour drive up. Pardon?
Dealing with friends of the heart, as you put it, is something that you look forward to this year as sort of something that you believe at your core will make you happier, more content.
Yes, I do, and pleasurable, and catching up. I think the more I age, the more I think back on my youth. And it was that just a few years ago. And I think I want to go back. I have a strong link with a lot of my high school classmates, and we're on Facebook together. We always say, let's get together, let's get together. Well, maybe this is the pivotal point to do that.
Absolutely.
I'll ask you both, why isn't Facebook enough?
Because you don't have the touch and feel in Facebook. I need to have that touch and feel, that proximity to those people that I care about.
Okay, so you're a touchy-feely person. Sounds like Margie might be a little bit too. But some people would say, hey, that's the beauty of technology. And I really learned in 2020 the capacity of technology and how to stay in touch. And so I did. They don't go back to the, hey, I got to go travel and visit them. They just say social media is enough. And I think that's wrong, as you know.
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys do too.
Well, one of the funnies, I was talking to my mother not that long ago. She now has discovered how to use Facebook more. She has gone Facebook crazy. She's gone back in and looking at all my old pictures and pictures of people that she's got like 10 friends. And she's going and looking at all this stuff. And she calls me on Duo and says, I haven't gotten anything done today. She says,
Oh, no.
I have been on this Facebook. I didn't know all this was here.
Wow. Let me just say, wow. Well, let me ask you this now. In my personal case, you know, you look back at 2020 and there's some bad things. For example, a pandemic, an election that was very contentious. Everybody suffers their own series of medical issues, whether you're young or old, or family crises. So how do you go about restoring joy in your life or joyous moments?
Well, I think
But
for me, go ahead,
I
Mo.
think joy is different than being happy.
Yeah,
I think that joy is something we have deep in the core of us, and it's not dependent on outside circumstances, which a lot of times happy is. And so I can experience both. The joy will always be there in spite of whether I'm happy or not. I have to draw down and get it sometimes and say, okay, all is well, all is well, all is well, and then move on. But it's more of an inner circumstance that doesn't kind of go in and out depending on what your relationships are.
Now, to me, happy is a state of being, you know, it's a continuum. I have, you know, if you took a linear line and perspective of it, happy would be either level, you know, and horizontal, or it would be, you know, up and down a little bit as far as the angle. But joy would be the spike for me.
would be what?
So the spike, the spike. So
Spike in happiness.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, to me, it's a moment in time is joy. Happy, I consider myself a happy person, but my joy can be from discovering a new recipe that I can cook.
Okay. I'll be looking
or, dis-
for a while, right?
or discovering or hearing from a friend or someone on Facebook that wants to be my friend that I haven't heard from in years. That gives me joy, you know, those kinds of things. So that for me, it's a moment in time.
Okay, and so you consider yourself happy. Margie, you said something a little earlier about, you know, no matter what the situation, you have that inner joy. And, you know, I look at it as sort of in a global sense, is we ought to have a real sense of gratitude for where we are and what we've got. And yeah, 2020 had some bad moments and still we have some carryover, I guess you'd call it. But I think the thing that works for me is I try to practice an attitude of gratitude and just say, hey, look, here I am living in a resort. Okay. And, you know, it's more difficult to do things, more difficult to see people. But if you've got that basic core value of joy or happiness, an attitude of gratitude is something we ought to practice.
Definitely, definitely. I think we have to be the impetus to that ourselves. Like you say, you have to define it and live by it. It has to be a part of your mantra. And with that, I think it can be more contagious.
Well, do you think people are focusing more on that, or you think we're still caught up in wallowing in, if you want to use the word wallowing, in feelings that we've developed over the past 12, 15 months?
I can't imagine anybody could still be complaining unless they've been seriously affected themselves or by someone close to them, you know, with COVID. I can understand their dismay and their maybe even anger and all that. Those of us who have, quote, escaped that, I think we better be thankful outwardly, inwardly. You know, there but the grace of God go I, you know, as they say, and it could happen to us tomorrow. I mean, I can sit around with some friends here in my neighborhood and we will meet on the patio or out on the street. And we look at each other and say, aren't we lucky? You know, we can be outside this time of the year. We can
Yeah.
social distance, you know, we're not home trying to teach our kids. it's like we're in a very unique position, I think. And if we cannot develop some sense of gratitude and happiness and joy, what would satisfy us?
I think also we need to acknowledge whatever sadness we have. Um, I have been recently on family Zoom services and lost a close relative who was like 92. And my mother was very sad about it. And I told her, I said, Mother, it's okay to be sad. Have those feelings, but understand you need to do that and then move on. You need to press on. And I think the people around us that we see like that, we need to acknowledge their grief or whatever state they're in and try to help them to move on. Hopefully there's a tomorrow for all of us. So we have to take
Okay.
advantage and acknowledge it.
Well, Margie, you mentioned that you get together in driveways or out in the street, and does it ever irk you or irritate you that you can't just have somebody over and sit around the kitchen table and not worry about it?
It does not irritate me. I'm grateful that I can be outside. Yeah, no, I mean, I just, this has just made me feel very, what would you call it? Well, very grateful, but not to take things for granted.
Mhm.
Tomorrow could be me. Tomorrow could be my daughter. You just never know. And you just have to sympathize with those that need you. You need to talk with those that have no one to converse with. I sit out almost daily when the weather permits with a 90-year-old neighbor who does not see well. And we just sit there and we Google everything about how much money Alex Trebek made, and bless his heart, and whatever, just to get a slice of life going.
Okay.
And I'm grateful for that. And so is she.
I think also that we're finding that people understand that the Zoom and everything else has acknowledged the fact that we've had to slow down and savor the moments. And perhaps now going forward, we'll be more appreciative of time that we're in rather than, for example, going on vacation and not living in the moment. Like before, maybe we'll learn better to enjoy where we are at that moment and to embrace it and enjoy it.
Well, I think you've hit on an important point when you said savor the moment, live for the day. We're not promised anything, et cetera, et cetera. But, that's a wonderful aspiration, and I hope people take advantage of that. When we came down here, or I came down, some people came up, I guess, from Florida. But the deal was that, hey, this was a time for me in a semi-selfish way. It's a time for me. I'd worked hard all my life. I have a great relationship with my wife. It's time to focus on me and what I want to be and be thankful for where I am, thankful for the things I've done, but look forward to the things I'm going to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And count our blessings in the meantime. Yeah.
Well, we hope everybody feels sort of that way, and that without apology, they're looking now at what they can take away as a good thing from 2020. What do you take away as a so-called, we call them 2020 keepers?
Be humble.
Question, because we've all had to adjust our lifestyle, but do we really want to keep that adjustment in our lives, or do we want to go back to normal?
Some of the things that I want to keep, one of the things I want to keep is the duo or the FaceTime type connections, because I've been able to connect with people that I had not in the past. So I do want to keep that. I think also it offers a different efficiency, whether it's telehealth or speaking to a counselor about something, rather than having to get in my vehicle and travel. I can just sit right here pants on, and and have a conversation.
Well, I hope your pants are on too, Tina, I'll be honest. But yeah, I've said before, I'm beginning to buy into these virtual medical appointments, for example, especially with follow-ups where all they do is say, how you feeling? You taking your meds, and take your blood, and my God, you're still doing all right, or not, but you can do it visual or virtually, and I'm glad of that. I'll take that as a keeper.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, so what's important to you is a big question I had when we went out on the street, talked to some residents and got them to give us a quick answer on how they intend to approach 2021, how they intend to restore joy and happiness if they need to, and what they're grateful for. Let's take a look. We are at the Perrysburg Fitness Center this morning and looking to ask a few of these hardworking residents about their plans for 2021 and how they intend to put some joy and happiness in their lives after a long, long siege of COVID and other issues. Let's see what they have to say.
Well, I play a lot of golf. I enjoy that. I have over 200 rounds this year here. And I come to the fitness center 2 or 3 times a week. And hopefully we'll get in a little traveling next year, which we haven't been able to do. It'll be kind of nice once the vaccines are available and be able to get out and about a little bit more.
And it sounds like you haven't slowed down much.
Not within Sun City. Outside we have for sure. No restaurants and pretty much staying at home.
So looking forward to doing some of that.
Oh, for sure. This is such a great area. We'll go to the beach once in a while, but, that's even been curtailed with what's been going on.
Well, great. Thanks so much for your
You're
time.
welcome. Have a good day.
Well, Kathy, we're creeping up on 2021. What do you plan to do to restore a little joy to your life?
Well, I had a few new grandchildren this year, so I'm finding more and more creative ways to see them and get back on track with seeing my own children and my grandchildren.
That sounds great. Is there anything that you've missed in 2020 you want to get back to?
Well, the family connection, but also traveling. I can't wait to start traveling again.
Okay, well, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Well, I don't see much of a change in 2021 over 2020 unless we get those vaccine shots. Once we have that and everyone else does, then we can start thinking about travel and restaurants and the rest of the things that we all love to do.
Okay, any specific plans in mind?
I have a home in Costa Rica and I'd love to get back there, but we're not going until things settle down.
Okay, well, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure.
I take up my time by going to Mass every day at 8:30, and then I come to the fitness center where Marie takes good care of us here most of the time. And they all do a wonderful job here of maintaining the equipment up to speed and keeping it safe for us to be here.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Have a nice day.
Okay, some very interesting answers.
Yeah.
And, hopefully everybody will follow through on those plans. And Margie, hopefully you have been laughing more lately. You said you haven't been laughing much.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. I am laughing more. I will even laugh at the TV now sometimes when they say something funny instead of just staring at the screen. Yeah, I will. I'm trying to really take pleasure in more things. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so yeah, I understand what you're saying. How about you, Tina?
Well, for me, it's a matter of making those plans and sticking with them and making sure that I put them in place, because I've got some things that I want to do probably throughout 2021, but I've got to make a start, and it can't be a false start. I actually have to put pen to paper and make those connections and follow through.
Well, I want to make it very clear in case people haven't figured it out. We're not talking about standard 2021 New Year's resolutions, which
No.
are the opportunities for failure, you know, and they're kind of banal and dated and trite and all that. We're talking about really focusing on a personal evolvement or development, evolution, whereby you concentrate on, you know, what's important, what you're thankful for, and how you can really savor moments, a sunset, all right, a good laugh with somebody that's unexpected, a spot,
Yeah.
something or another that brings you joy. And that's what I think we need to focus on this year. We've had enough of the past. Let's move on.
That's right. And recognizing that everybody isn't with the same attitude about it we do, and be patient with them, let them vent, encourage them, and try to get up beyond ourselves more.
I think what 2020 did also was gave you an opportunity to kind of clean your circle or your centers of influence. Were they really centers of influence? And perhaps in 2021, I'm looking forward to a couple of new friendships. I've joined a new association for wine, and that is something that I want to expand on. And in the directory, I'm hoping to make some connections with people, perhaps travel next meeting they have maybe in the fall to California for one of the conventions. That's exciting to me. You know, I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, it's exciting to me is, like I say, not wallowing in the past and doing all we can to resume the active life we hope we'd have when we moved here a few years ago. And Margie, you mentioned patience. I think that one of the things that I would take away from 2020 is an increase in my own level of patience. I've had to be. You know, when you're faced with situations and there's nothing you can do about it, but be patient. There's no sense in getting angry or frustrated. And I've learned some great lessons from going through those kind of experiences.
That's growth, isn't it? Yeah.
Forced growth, yeah.
Yeah, forced growth. You're right. Yeah, it just, as anything, it's how you look at it, half full or half empty, you know, especially if you can do nothing about it. It's like, why sink down in the depths if you can say, you know what, here we go, another moment, another appointment, another day.
One of the other things that I want to do is give more forward. I think that we've seen a lot of that in 2020 where people, there was somebody at recently that was, I don't know if it was at Walmart or somewhere, and they paid for, I don't know how many people's Christmas gifts and things like that. That is wonderful. And philanthropy is something, if I have the means, I will do, because I did that as a kid. I think I mentioned in one of the shows, I used to give away my lunch money. If I didn't use it, I gave it to somebody else so they can have it. Not knowing even what that word was, but you know, it was just what was in my heart.
Yeah, pay it forward. Yeah.
The word philanthropy with Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, but in reality, it's simply a matter, I think, and you can comment on this, but it's simply a matter of, I think, Tina, as you just pointed out, of being grateful and paying it forward. And, you know, not worried about who gets the credit.
Right.
And if we can practice more of that in 2021, we'll have taken away the positive parts of 2020 and moved forward, I think.
Definitely.
Yes.
Well, to sum up, we've got a new year and we've got new ambitions and we've got gratefulness and gratitude for what we have. Any final words from you two?
Living La Vida Loca. I'm ready.
Live, love, and laugh.
All righty. Well, thanks. Thanks, ladies, for a great discussion. We hope we get some feedback from our viewers. And hopefully we'll see you next month on our next episode of The Breeze.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.